And up next, we got Jamie Mullarkey versus John Makdessi. And this is an interesting fight here. I mean, Jamie Mullarkey, he just kind of shit the bed in his last fight. He got given a marquee fight originally with Guram Kutateladze, but Kutateladze pulled out and he accepted a tricky fight, dangerous fight against a UFC debutant. And he was dominating the majority of the fight, but he got clipped, got knocked out. And that was a massive setback for Mullarkey, which is made evident by his opponent on this card, because I think if Mullarkey would have beaten Muhammad Naimov, he probably would be fighting a top 15 fighter. But since he lost, now he's fighting an old and active Turkey veteran. And if Mullarkey beats him, he'll kind of be still in the same position, but at least he'll regain some confidence. And he's in his home country. He is coming back just 3 months after getting finished, so he's taking a big risk. But John Makdessi, this is going to be his 20th UFC walk, so important milestone for him. There's only a small elite group of fighters who have reached that 20 fights in the UFC mark, and he's been in the UFC since 2010, so he's one of the most tenured fighters on the roster. He's 11-8 in his 19 fights so far. He's 38 years old, and he's still a tough out. He hasn't been fighting often in recent years, but he was able to pick up that upset win over Bahamondes in 2021, and he is 4-2 in his last 6 fights. He did lose his last fight to Nasrat Haqparast, and it's been a year since we've seen him, but he has gone to fight ready for this fight camp, and they always have their athletes in good condition. So Makdessi is clearly at the tail end of his career, but I think he'll be in shape, and if he can beat a fighter at the level of Jamie Mullarkey, that'll prove that he's definitely still very much UFC material. But this should probably be a close fight on the feet. I feel like the line is a little bit off because in a pure stand-up fight, John Makdessi is pretty tough to deal with. I mean, the guy doesn't engage too much. He's always feinting and moving. He has those dangerous kicks and that kind of traditional martial arts style. He's very fast. He has a nice jab. And then when he gets confident, he can go forward. He'll pressure you, you'll slip and rip, and you'll stay very high volume. His cardio is really good, and I think his chin is underrated. I think a lot of people talk about how he's a little bit chinny, but he's only been finished by strikes twice in his career. Once was due to a broken jaw, but it's just Makdessi can be extremely inactive, and he's like a hit or miss fighter. Sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. His takedown defense historically has been really good, but I don't feel as if he's fought the best grapplers or guys that have really been trying to take him down too often. He does have some wins over some wrestlers like Abel Trujillo or guys that were at the tail end of their careers, but I feel like Mullarkey, he's been mixing in the wrestling recently, and that could be a factor in the fight if he can get a couple of takedowns. But Mullarkey's also slick with his striking, and he has good kicks, good pressure. It's just he's defensively irresponsible sometimes and just leaves his chin out there to be hit. He just needs to sharpen up the defense a little bit. And I feel like he is definitely going to be the higher volume guy pressuring forward. It's just he has to avoid the jab of Makdessi and avoid running into a big shot again that knocks him out like just happened 3 months ago. And you have to wonder, has he been training? Is his chin going to be able to hold up here in this type of style matchup? So there's some question marks I feel like to be laying the chalk on Mullarkey here at that price. But ultimately, I am going to pick Mullarkey just because he's younger. I feel like he has the ability to mix it up. He will be higher volume. He could mix in the takedowns. Makdessi isn't a big knockout threat. He usually fights close. And I don't see him really blowing Mullarkey out of the water here. So with this fight being in Australia as well, I think that if it's a close fight, I'm expecting him to maybe edge it to Mullarkey. So I'm going to give Mullarkey the win here, and I'm going to say he wins via decision in a fairly competitive matchup.